Hi, I'm Irving. Welcome back to TV Fails, where we examine shows from my era that got one season or less. Our opening today has Honey West delivering a case of some kind to a client.
Mr. Lucas? All set. Happy meeting.
As much time as we're spending looking at his car, I'm guessing it's gonna explode.
Sam, our client's on his way. No problems.
No kaboom? I guess she's right then. Seems like a fairly straightforward job.
Uh-oh, what just came up?
Or not. If it feels like we arrived in the middle of this story, that's because we did. Honey is off to chase the chase car. Boy, did our man bring the wrong car. A monster like that is a lot harder to handle on a mountain road than the sleek little jobs Honey and her client are driving. That should make it easier to deal with him. Emphasis on should. But considering his car is twice as big and heavy as hers, I'm not sure Honey wants to get alongside him where she's vulnerable anyway. And that's why. At least maybe she slowed him enough for her client to get away. Never mind. Even if she did, the client will finish the bad guy's job for him. Our bad guy parks out of view and stops while Honey makes her way down the hill to examine the inevitable.
Mr. Lucas? Mr. Lucas? Mr. Lucas?
Snowman. Snowman.
Should have worn your seatbelt, dude. Though, depending on what year that car is, there may not be a seatbelt to wear. After they were introduced, it took a few years of events like this for car makers to get the hint that it was a good idea. Even weirder than his last word being Snowman, he's holding a snow globe. Honey takes it and starts up the hill. There are several more snow globes there, and who knows what else. Who is this guy, and what is this stuff?
You're her partner. You're as responsible as she is. And right now, your license is skating on thin ice.
Now, wait a minute, Lieutenant. We told you the whole story. Lucas came to us as a client. 100 down, 200 on completion of the job.
$300 to pick up a salesman's sample case?
It happens every day, Lieutenant. Competitors trying to steal each other's ideas.
A sample case for a novelty company, and our bad guy killed him for it. The lieutenant has a good mad going, and Honey really doesn't care.
The highway patrol and a couple of witnesses report they saw you leave the scene of the accident.
Well, it was no accident. It was murder.
Oh, when your father had the agency, I never had any trouble.
I know. He always used to say how cooperative you were, too.
TV show Honey West doesn't have to deal with that as much as novel series Honey West, but she gets enough of it to be irritating. Except right now, she doesn't have time to be irritated.
You could identify the killer.
He was wearing a hat and dark glasses.
The car?
The late model, black sedan, license number BGO 999.
She assures both the lieutenant and Sam that she did not take the sample case. The last time she saw it, it was at the scene of the crime. Once the lieutenant is gone, she shows Sam what she did take.
The lieutenant's gonna...
I didn't lie. Why, Sam? He only asked me if I took the case.
Now, there's feminine logic.
Aunt Meg, he thinks
Probably
I'm...
with good reason.
Honey, I'm telling you, the lieutenant...
The neighbors.
I'm sorry,
Even
Meg.
Bruce is upset.
So what? I'm going to ask you again. Now, why did you take it?
He was our client. It's the only lead we've got.
Sam doesn't want to lead. He wants to stay out of jail.
Sam, I cooperated. Black sedan, license number BGO 999.
It's not her fault the car doesn't float. Honey knows exactly what to do next. Take a bubble bath while Sam does the detective work.
There is no novelty show in San Diego. The murder car was a stolen car. And if my partner would keep her hands off of murder evidence, we could stay out of trouble.
I can't hear you. Well, she's had a hard day. You saw her stockings.
Yeah. And what are you knitting for? A straitjacket?
For me, earmuffs.
Sam does his best detective work when he's screaming like an idiot. The next stop is the Comfort Novelty Company, the place Mr. Lucas said he was working out of. While Honey checks them out, Sam watches from across the street.
Yes, I wanted to get some more of these.
Oh, my goodness. That's a very old, well-known item. Well, we haven't carried these since I've been with the showroom.
Oh, perhaps I could speak to the manager?
Well, as a matter of fact, I am the manager.
Really?
Yes, that's right. My name is Mr. Reedy Comfort.
Reedy Comfort sounds like an easy listening album by a saxophone choir. He says, we just distribute these things, we don't make them. Let me find out where that came from.
It's a funny thing how everything comes back into style. You know, when I was a boy, I can remember those Snowman paperweights were very popular indeed.
This one belonged to Mr. Lucas.
Oh, that was a terrible thing.
While they discuss Mr. Lucas, our friend there is wandering around, apparently waiting for something.
He worked as an independent. You know, bought and sold of his own. I never found him very reliable. And there is no listing whatsoever. It must be an imported item.
Well, if you do get any information, I'll show my appreciation.
Well, I shall certainly try.
She says that a lot, and guys never think it's going to take the form of a basic thank you. At the end of one of the books, she did show her appreciation to one guy, but that only happened once in the books and not at all in the series. It's a kick watching guys' faces when they don't know that, though. By the way, our bad guy saw Sam looking through the window and sent his chauffeur to do that. Dude, if you're that worried about germs, just wear gloves.
All right, I'll take that Snowman.
You got mean eyes without your glasses.
The Snowman.
Sam learns that the chauffeur has a Swiss passport, no info about his employer. He'll dig into that.
Oh, boy, this new purse is just ruined.
Is that all you have to worry about?
There's white stuff all over the inside.
Did you have to use evidence as a weapon?
Considering how eager some people are to get their hands on it, maybe you should be asking what the white stuff is. Here's a hint. Calling it snow is not a recent development. It's been called that for a long time.
What's the number?
6C4D894.
Sounds like hexadecimal, a numeric code that's mostly used in computer programming.
Code?
Your lipstick smeared.
Oh, really? Could it be a code?
That's all we need, a nest full of spies.
Spies are way outside their bailiwick, but it doesn't matter because they're not dealing with spies anyway.
What's the matter?
I don't know. My lip feels funny. Feels numb like a shot of Novocaine.
The Snowman.
Snow.
Took them long enough. They've stuck their noses into a cocaine smuggling ring, so to speak. Time to turn it all over to the police, right? Because I'm sure we trust this guy to lead the investigation.
You've got to be putting me on.
No, we've turned it over to a true detective, Cleopatra.
Do you not think I am gorgeous, Shetty?
I still think we should call the police in. That's what I think.
After washing all the evidence down the drain?
We're still guessing, honey.
I think it all adds up. Mr. Comfort said he thought the paperweights were imported. The chauffeur and his employer, Count,
Oh, Pesco, you better remember that.
The Count comes here every year to throw a charity ball. Honey says looks like he throws snowballs, too.
That's the office phone.
Well, cut in.
What'd you think I was going to do, let it ring?
Miss West, look, you've got to come over here quick. They saw you here today. I don't know what this is all about, but they want that paperweight. They said they'd pay you for it. You've got to give it back to them, Miss West. They said they'd kill me.
I expected a zoom out to reveal someone with a gun to his head, but no. In the next scene, he and Honey are talking about it.
Don't worry, Mr. Comfort.
Please, Miss West,
Bruce is better than any watchdog, and if you hear a key in the lock, it's just Aunt May.
I beg of you.
Look, you just sit tight here with Bruce. We have to go to a masquerade.
Miss West, I
Take
prefer
care of
not
him,
to
Bruce.
stay. Miss West, Miss West.
And by the way, you're a pretty decent looking guy, so if a lady calling herself Aunt Meg comes in and wants to make out with you, just go with it. General Burkhalter seems to have done well for himself after the war.
Sam, the Count just made the scene. I'm going to see if I can get upstairs.
Watch your step.
Madam, will you dance?
Acceptez-moi.
At a function like this one, it's impolite to say no. That much is true, by the way.
We've been expecting you.
You knew I was coming?
You should have taken our offer.
I do not understand.
I like you better without the wig. Now, if you'll just lead the way.
She should have been impolite.
I take it we haven't much time.
There's no time at all.
Never mind, Sam will be impolite for her. These guys know she doesn't work alone, but they don't account for Sam's whereabouts, so when she takes them down, she's probably doing them a favor. Her cover is obviously blown, but she's determined to check around upstairs anyway, and Sam's not tough enough to stop her. That flowing skirt is actually 2 parts, and with those gaiters, she can form them into pants so she can climb that trellis and slip in a window.
Sam, I just found the goodies. About $1 million worth. The room's over the terrace.
Miss West, I hope you brought it with you.
For once, everything is exactly as it appears to be. The Count is running a cocaine ring.
The wagon will come for you, too.
Shall we go back in?
Looks like everybody's in on it. When's the lieutenant going to appear and demand his cut? Actually, Mr. Comfort is the big boss. He says that globe you have is worth $100,000. Where is it?
You'll never believe me.
Yes, I will. I'll believe you.
Down the kitchen sink.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
Get it over with.
It's been very difficult, Miss West. First Mr. Lucas trying to hijack, and then you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now I'm afraid we'll have to get on with it.
This party is where they do their annual distribution to their special guests, and she's put a little dent in it.
It's nostalgic. Oh. I really hate to do this.
The party's over.
As I said, they didn't account for Sam's presence.
What happened to your eye?
I don't know. What's the matter with it?
Actually, they did account for his presence, just not sufficiently.
How do you feel, Sam?
Like a guy with a black eye.
The old trick of putting a raw steak on a black eye goes back nobody knows how far, and it's one of the dumbest things humans ever came up with. The prevailing theory was that the meat draws out the moisture and reduces the swelling. Little did anybody realize all the raw meat does is put a bunch of bacteria on your face. What reduces the swelling is the cold. An ice pack works even better, and it won't contaminate your supper with things like eyelashes and zits.
What happened to Bruce's steak?
Sorry, Sam.
Bruce, on the other hand, doesn't care about contamination. Just don't get between him and the meat.